What's up, squad? It's been a while since our last YouTube video. I apologize, but we're back. I'm here to announce a brand new series with my dear old friend, Dr. David Johnson. We call it Brains and Gains, where we talk about everything in the world of strength conditioning and fitness. Small disclaimer, we've had a few audio video setbacks. So in the first few episodes, so just bear with us and rest assured we fixed them. Disclaimer 2, apologize for the scratch marks on the banner of our episode. We had one of those uh-oh moments, and rest assured we've removed it after episode 2, so just bear with us. Disclaimer 3, episode 1 is a little bit longer than the other episodes because it just takes so long for us to introduce ourselves. But rest assured, you will love it. This episode is brought to you by Generation Strong, the UAE's premier fitness and strength brand. Head on to our website, www.generationstrong.com, and check out all our apparel and lifting goods. And also, if you're listening to the podcast, you can use the code YouTubeStrong15 to get 15% off your entire invoice. So check it out, guys, and help support us. All right, without further ado, let's head on to episode 1. Stay strong, stay hungry. What's up, guys and girls? My name is Ray, aka the guy in the red hat, aka Gains. And I am with one of the most knowledgeable people on the planet, Dr. David Johnson, aka Brains, aka Mr. I mumble a lot. So forgive him. And welcome to our very first episode of the Brains and Gains podcast, where we attempt to put the brains into gains in the world of fitness, strength, and coaching. Let's introduce ourselves, right? I mean, people don't know who we are.
Nope.
A brown guy and a white guy walk into a bar, sit down on a white table.
And this is what you get.
Yeah. I think in advance, apologize for any profanity, if we hurt anyone. It's all unintentional. Maybe not. I am a strength and conditioning coach. I used to be. Athlete, educator. I also worked for one of the largest gyms in the world, gym chains in the world, in corporate management for over a decade. Currently, I am the CEO and founder of Generation Strong, probably the most loved fitness apparel and lifting gear in the Middle East. Also the co-founder of the Shero Life, which is a women's strength and fitness or health and fitness platform, which empowers women through strong women. That's a short and sweet introduction to myself. How many books have you read over the last 5 years? That's an interesting question because this guy's got a massive library full of ridiculously boring books, ridiculously dry books.
Right, I do have a library next door. For example, I was just on holiday for a week. I read 3 books straight, so and they were different subjects, so I'm not always...
Which ones? Harry Potter and...
It was Harry Potter, no. Jordan Peterson's new book, one on sort of running and the anthropology behind running, as you do, and one on psychology, as you do. That was my holiday reading, really.
Harry Potter and the Chamber of Anatomy. That's what he read.
Maybe that's one I should write.
That might not be a bad idea.
There you go.
All right, David, how did you get into training?
Training? I started when I was probably 16, 17 years old. I'm 43 this year. And that was through a friend of mine was a bodybuilder. He was a natural bodybuilder. At the time, I didn't know what anabolic steroids were. And he wasn't on anything. He was just a big farm boy, grew up training 2.5 hours a day, every day, 6 days a week. The workouts were brutal. We'll do,
It's back in the UK?
Back in the UK, back in the day. Yeah. And it was very simple, old-fashioned gyms, the iron everywhere. And that was my introduction to training. I didn't make many gains training the way he did, which was interesting. He would eat and eat pasta and get big. I would just get sore and couldn't walk downstairs. And I thought there must be a better way.
Yeah.
I started reading everything. Flex, Muscle and Fitness. And then Muscle Media was the big one. And Muscle Media basically was the introduction to this guy called Charles Poliquin.
Muscle Media.
Muscle Media, do you remember that? before it became Muscle Media 2000. It was Muscle Media 2000, and then it became Muscle Media.
I don't remember that. No, I don't.
Yeah. So
Kind of happened. Yeah.
well, you're not that old. You're not that young. Come on. Anyway, Muscle Media 2000. So those guys out there that will remember it, Muscle Media 2000 was when they used to have all the information, even on drugs. It was on supplementation, different trainers, different coaches. And Charles Poliquin used to write things like, 15 degrees, knock off these motor units, and do X, Y, Z, which was a completely different language to what you would see in some of the other publications.
Yep.
Remember that? It was like 3 sets of 10 as opposed, or something like that. And then Charles used to write, a lot
Just the
more
basic, like, normal stuff, like 3-4 sets of 10, and just like knock it off like 4 sets, and then a different body part, different body part, different body part. No attention to
nothing.
what exercise does what. Yeah.
So no variation in techniques
That's
or
gross,
anything,
yeah.
yeah. So I remember raising my eyebrow and thinking, this guy's interesting, who's this? But back then the internet was still dial-up. and so Charles never had a website, nothing. So it was very difficult back then. And then so as time went by, I tried to buy books internationally, went around the different gyms that were hardcore where we were in London at the time. And then that's where I got into powerlifting, because powerlifting was the way you went to get strong. You went to the big dusty old gyms.
Yep.
And that's when I also discovered a guy called Louis Simmons on the west side.
Good old Louis.
Good old Louis. And then one of my training partners wanted to compete. And so I started writing all the programs and doing all sort of ways of training using Louis' approach at the time. And that was in my early 20s. That was probably some of my strongest, actually, to be honest, absolutely honest. He pulled a 735 deadlift. I remember that, which is like 345 kilos, right?
Your mate that you programmed for.
Yeah, so that wasn't bad. We were doing
Sure,
well.
it was genetics, but okay.
Jealousy, don't yeah, and that's and then I started training under Charles Poliquin. He started coming to Europe, and that was it. I was hooked. He had a methodology and an approach that I liked. He was scientific in his approach. He was methodical. Most training courses, I did the YMCA type gym instructor certificates. Remember those? Yep. And then I just went from there really, and just started doing every course I could get my hands on, and every book. And again, it was all sort of international stuff. All the Russian manuals that were translated into English.
Yeah. Well, Charles did that too, right?
Yeah. He had quite a collection of those.
Yeah, quite a collection. Yeah.
So he kind of started reading those, and then obviously the Olympic lifting crowd started learning what they did and started building from them. And then once you start getting good, people start asking you to train them, and they're the athletes. But athletes in the UK, nobody got paid, so it was more of an unpaid position, really. Yeah.
So that's the journey.
That's the journey, and over the years,
just add and add and add, and today you're here.
Yeah, and again, I think if you want to, for me, it was always to keep learning.
Yeah. And
even if I picked up something really small out of a seminar, I thought it was a good thing.
So as a doctor of osteopathy, you are constantly dealing with people from the gym.
Yep.
Gym injuries, musculoskeletal disease, and stuff like that. How's the journey been like over the last? So this is like when you were in your 20s.
Yeah.
Well, now you're in your 50s. So how? How's the journey been over the last 10 years?
Yes, I mean, for me, I'm extremely clinical now, and I guess that means that the people I see are very diverse. And I do get athletes, and those athletes tend not to want to be named, which is interesting in this country. It is. I mean, it's weird, but it is a thing. But I see a lot of musculoskeletal disease, a lot of what we call trauma. So people have broken things.
Yep.
Misdiagnosis or a poor diagnosis. They come into me going, I don't really know what's wrong. I've had this for a very long period of time. I've seen a number of practitioners or physicians, etc.
Yep.
And so my clinical practice right now has evolved from being very much a sports physical therapy environment, rehabbing, strength and conditioning, very much into musculoskeletal medicine. So it's very medical right now. So we have people with musculoskeletal diseases, people that need a lot of imaging, very, very different approaches.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with everyone from the Gen Pop to athletes at this point. Yeah. Nice. Cool. Well, that's a good intro to training.
Yeah, you go.
So my intro was basically I grew up in Saudi and Dubai. I was in the financial sector. Got rich, fat. Moved to Canada for further study, so university. liked a girl there. She called me fat and ugly. I was like, okay, I got to do something about this. And I lost about 100 kilos in 6 months. Now, that's a huge number, 100 kilos in 6 months. What I did was I was running about 6 hours a day, and I was training about 4 hours a day, and I was eating 2,000 calories.
Sensible, right?
Very sensible, right? Nevertheless, like, I lost that weight. She came back from holidays, got the girl, then that weight just came back on really fast. I then took it upon myself to, like, you know what, let's start educating ourselves. This is like way before, like, I'd met Charles. I'm talking about like 2007, 2008 for me. And wow. This is York University, like, kids, you know, like, all we care about is muscle, biceps, and then that's all we did all day long, and biceps and chest. He
still does that. I don't know.
That's when he's just jealous of my biceps and my chest and my shoulders. So it's I can sense that. And then I started reading a lot when it comes to, like, 5x5, 531, all that kind of stuff, and started getting intrigued. Of course, motivated by Ronnie Coleman, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, followed their, like, workouts all day long. I met a friend who was smart enough to, you know, hand me some books, give me some advice on, like, how to train. He was also an elite level athlete. I think Canada's ranked number like 3 or 4 at that time, tennis player. But he was 6'4", weighed about 250 pounds. Like, and this is pure muscle. This is pure muscle for a tennis player. That's big, like, guy. Unheard of.
It's a big guy.
That's a very big guy. He grew up with Djokovic, like, so they were like, but Djokovic obviously reached a whole new level. So yeah, I mean, a huge shout out to him. His name is Misha, if you're listening to this. But so he got me into it. Fast forward a couple of years, I graduated. I was working as a part-time coach. I'd done my CanFit Pro, and that was the Canadian equivalent to MeFit Pro in Dubai, in one of those YMCA degrees. And fast forward a couple of years, and I started going broke. I was working as a chef, as a sous chef. Moved up to, like, Marche into sous chef. Was getting broke. Work wasn't doing too well, and my dad found out I was on unemployment insurance in Canada, and he called me and he yelled at me. He's like, "Your dad's a millionaire and you're, like, living on unemployment insurance in Canada." He sent me a ticket to Dubai for like 2 days from there. And fortunately at that time I was dating a girl who was in kin and kinesiology, for those who don't know. And I used to steal her books and read it all the time and get a little bit more understanding about, like, anatomy and biomechanics and stuff. Anyways, I was desperate. I wanted to stay in Canada. Didn't want to come back to Dubai. I wanted to prove myself. So printed out 100 resumes, walked all around Toronto. Didn't have any money, so just walked everywhere. And I think the last and final stop was GoodLife Fitness. And she forced me to go upstairs and give my resume, and next day I got a call in the morning, 3 interviews in a day, and boom, I got hired. And that was my first journey as in the fitness industry, where I was hired as a basic level 2 personal trainer. And I guess that's when, back in the day in Toronto, when it was like the GoodLife Fitness, they were very big into Charles Poliquin. Like, it had just become popular. You had to do PICP level 1 and 2 if you wanted to be respected.
What's the PICP? What was that?
What?
That was the Poliquin International Certification Program, right?
Something like that.
PICP. Yeah. That was a wonderful 5.
Yeah. So it was you had to do level 1 and 2 to actually get recognized as a coach. And I mean, I didn't know why, and it was super expensive. I think it was about $5,000 or $6,000 to get the both. And you either had to travel to Rhode Island, or you had to find a spot, like, near you somewhere to do the in person. Fortunately, they came to Toronto. I forgot what the gym was called, but mustered up the courage, saved up the money, working hard. And once I was introduced to PICP level 1 and level 2, and I mean, the rest is all history. Level 1 and 2. Level 1 and 2 was obviously Charles, Ryan Fenley, and Andre Benoit. Shout out to Andre and of course his wife Susan. I mean, I never looked back from there, and I think PICP was like Poliquin and his principles were, it was a no BS approach, and I love that. It was, there are basics, you have to follow the basics, these are the basics, and of course there's obviously variations, but these are the basics, and the guy was super knowledgeable, trained, over 1,000 athletes, Olympic athletes, or like some random like stupid number out there.
Number, yeah.
It's a very big number, and very well respected, and yeah, I just got hooked. And after that, you just take course after course after course. And yeah, sooner or later, me and Charles got close. I didn't know he knew my name when I remember that the night, I don't know why we're going into Charles, but anyways, we're introducing ourselves, but I'll finish the story. I remember I was in Montreal and we were doing the Klokov seminar with Clean Health, Dane Cook.
Yep.
And we were, that was the time I used to smoke. I'm going to say it up openly. So I'd gone down for a smoke, and I was like next to my car, trying to hide from everyone, so like no one sees me. And I walk into the hotel, and at the bar there's Charles and there's Carlos Samoa.
Yeah.
They're sitting there and they're shooting the shit.
Mm.
So Carlos, and like I hear a voice, "Hey Ray," and I was like, "Whoa, what's this? Who caught me? Who caught me? Like, did someone see me smoke?" And he's like, he asked me to come down and sit with him, and yeah, and I barely said anything, and these two old dogs just went into like old war stories and all the stuff that they've done, and you just see the, talking about the SWAT teams and the SWAT training and all that kind of stuff, and it just like, it blew my mind. Of course, first, like someone as respected as him knew who I was. I think that's one of the things that he respected a lot about me, is that I could do a really good pull-up, and I could keep doing it for as long as he wanted, like no matter what it was. But yeah, that's when I guess me and Charles really got like a little closer than what we were in that sense. And that's my story with Charles, and that's how I got into training, and then I never looked back. I did a couple of bodybuilding shows. One got into CrossFit right after that, because that was the thing to do, especially in Toronto. There were CrossFit boxes around you. Got into CrossFit, dabbled into that, then definitely went into Olympic lifting, because I was like, okay, fine, you know what, CrossFit's a little bit too much for me. Maybe Olympic lifting is a little bit less. So dabbled into that, of course, Bulgarian and Verbanov methods and Sheko as well, and then got hurt, got injured, because Olympic lifting does take a lot out of you, and that's obviously with Klokov as well, like, doing all of the stuff that he had taught. I think that's where I segued into it. And then, yeah, got into powerlifting, and then I've never looked back ever since. It's a little bit more forgiving than Olympic lifting and CrossFit, and you can do it at your own pace. You can eat whatever you want, you can get fat, and you can get strong, and that's what really... this was the time when I was in corporate management, so I was like, my job was like 6 in the morning to 10 at night, so this was the easiest way out. Eat, drink, make merry, and lift heavy. And that's my journey into training, per se.
Right.
Poverty and desperation, I would know here. Poverty and desperation got me to where I am today.
I think it drives a lot of things, really. I think you got to be a little bit hungry to want something.
What was the quote that I forgot who it was? Conor McGregor. He had like posted something recently.
Okay.
It's like the guy who reaches the top is the guy who has a mortgage on his head.
Something like, yeah.
Like the guy
you got to be hungry.
Yeah, you got to be hungry. Yeah.
I mean, in the fight game, you see it. People that lose the hunger, you don't want to be there. You don't need to be there anymore, right? So it's interesting. I think you got to be a little bit hungry to get somewhere.
100%.
Yeah.
What? Just more on the introduction as to what got you into sports medicine.
Sports med is, I tell you what, I was incline bench press. I had this on my Instagram. Somebody asked me, and I was incline bench pressing. I mean, nothing like 140 kilos, and my training buddy at the time, I remember benching, and it was full of gym busy, and I incline benched, and this lady went by, and my friend just kind of took his eyes off the thing, and I bounced on my chest, heard a pop, and then I got stuck under the bench. And I just remember thinking, but I remember being sore, my right shoulder, just for ages. And then back then in London, for sure, the MRI, so the imaging wasn't available. And if you know the system, the healthcare system, you have to wait a long time to see an orthopedic doctor, and then you have to wait an extra long time, up to 6 months at that time, to get an MRI. Mm-hmm. Now it's different, and in UAE it's very different. And so I went from orthopedic guy to doctor to physio, getting all these different diagnoses for my shoulder. And in the end, I went, you know what? I'm going to do it myself. And I went back to school. That's how it went.
So that's an interesting story. Here's my story. I'm in the gym, inclined bench, inclined. You used to have those hammer strengths, which are like individually loaded, individual loaded, right? And 200 kilos, so 100 kilos, 100 kilos.
Yeah, it's a machine, right?
Well, it's a free weight machine. It doesn't have its. I had one amateur on the right and a known guy on the left. This guy doesn't know how to spot me, so it's like he lifts it up and it comes up here, but he puts it over here. I try to do this with 100 kilos, and I hear everything shatter in the right arm. Tore all my tendons off the freaking bone. 6 months. They gave me a date to go to the doctor to get an MRI. No, first I went to the doctor after 2 weeks, so I'm in agonizing pain now. Right?
This is what people do. They wait. The thing here is don't wait.
No. This is like public health care, right? So I'm waiting. I'm a poor kid at like York University, dude. I'm waiting. I go in there. They do an X-ray. They're like, "Oh, nothing's wrong. It's just a hairline fracture. Here's a couple of T3 and go." And they put me in a sling and they let me go. And the pain just kept going on and on. My dad got pissed off and was like, "You know what? Hey, you're coming back to Dubai. We're gonna get you sorted out over here." So I came back. The guy was like, "There is no hairline fracture. It's all your tendons are off the bone." And then that's where the rehab process started. So we're a very similar story.
Interesting.
Again, that's when like it got me into like reading and understanding how things work. I'm still hazy on what the actual diagnosis was. Like I'm saying tendons, but I don't know what it was because at that time I was too young and too like I don't know what he said.
Okay.
I'm like. I'm trying to find the report so I can understand it better because now I can definitely understand it better. But yeah.
So let's talk. We talk about kind of how we got into training, how we got into sports medicine, and stuff like that. Let's talk about the training systems. What kind of training systems do you use right now?
Right now I'm like
rest pause. Were you resting a lot more and pausing a lot more in the training? Or?
I think it's more of a like one set of like 10 reps and then 4 sets of rest.
So it's a common one.
That's a common. No.
What's your favorite set and rep scheme? It's
German volume training, hands down.
Define that. What does that mean to you?
German volume is 10 by 10.
At 60% of your 1 rep max.
At 60% of your 1 rep max. The weight that you can do 20 reps with.
Yeah.
Right? So it's the weight that I can do 20 reps with a good 4-second eccentric, a 1-second pause, and then an explosion to lift the weights up. Of course, depending on body part, for anyone who doesn't know GVT, it's depending on body part, right? So if you're doing the small arms, like maybe if you're doing a bi-tri, like superset, or like a bi-tri, you choose something like that, then obviously the rest is a lot less than what you would be doing if you were doing like a squat. So yeah, generally it would be, I kind of mix and match, which maybe Charles would not approve on, but it would be something like a deadlift and overhead press combo with about a 90-second rest in between, with 60% of my 1 rep max kills me. Same thing with the squat. Squat would be squat and overhead press. I keep those big movements to that, and then the rest would be like a back day and a back and a chest. But I play around with that to see. Again, at this point in my life, it's like I'm not going for anything crazy. I just want to maintain and I just want to have some fun. I'm very comfortable with GVT, and I know it's great for gains and also endurance.
Great. So that works for you. That 60%, it's relatively high volume, high rep.
Yeah, and it works.
And it works for what? Gaining muscle or getting lean or strong or what?
For me, it's both.
Okay.
For me, it's both. I do see a massive improvement in muscle mass, and I guess sticking to the rest sets and the tempo. Once you stick to your rest, I mean, it automatically goes into like. I do see results when it comes to fat loss as well, or like just staying lean. As long as you, again, at the end of all my programs, anyways, I add like 15 minutes of HIIT, so just to stay in shape because I can get fat really fast. So yeah, it's like GVT, and then I do like 15 minutes of HIIT. Whatever it is.
Right.
Whatever it is. What about yourself?
Yeah, see, none of that works for me. So this is, diversion a little bit, but like I said, when I go into training, I was with a bodybuilder friend of mine. It was 2-hour workouts, high reps, 10 sets of 10, 15 reps, 20 reps. And all that happened to me was skinny fat and very sore for weeks on end. Very rarely saw any changes. And it's only when I started training heavier, so lower reps. And for me, bodybuilding is anywhere 6 to 8 reps. So this is a thing Charles used to talk about in terms of your fast twitch, slow twitch, and there's a lot of discrepancy between them, but let's use generalizations right now.
What's like 6 to 8 was relative strength.
6 to 8 is like your functional hypertrophy, used to call it.
Yeah, it's functional hypertrophy.
Yeah. Relative strength is like 1 to 5, right? So if I want to get big, I like to do like 2 weeks of training twice a day, for example, and I use low reps. I use anything between 1 and 3 and 3 to 5s. And that seemed to work really, really well. So my strength goes up rapidly. My lean body mass goes up actually very fast. And it was one of the things I think sent me on the biggest finding out that there are a lot of people out there that struggle with the norms, right? So the high rep stuff, or just doing machines and stuff like that. And so if I don't do 10 to 12 sets of squatting at 1 to 3 reps, my nervous system doesn't even wake up.
Same.
So I found that really interesting.
Yeah, that's an interesting point you made, and I notice, especially people who haven't dabbled in it, right? This is what I think is right. This is what I've learned is right. This is what you need to do to get to where you want to get. No, man, it doesn't work that way. I mean, of course, everyone knows Dorian Yates was like the anomaly, right? And versus like someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger who was training twice a day and like 5-6 hours in the gym, versus like Dorian who was training 3 times a week and fucking super heavy. So it's, I mean, you gotta find what works for you. GVT works well for me. For me, I think it's because of the business brain. It's just the easiest for me to like, I have my A1, A2, like my primaries, and then I have like maybe 2 or 3 accessories, and then I go for my HIIT training. So it's not really like, oh my God, I got to think about like what am I going to do next, or what do I have in my program, or I got to reset in some other place. It's just get in, get out, and with my schedule right now, it's just I would much rather not think. And that's what German volume training lets me do. It's like, fuck, I know I gotta go to like 100 reps of this and 100 reps of this, and that's what she wrote. So otherwise, then it's like you got GBC. Advanced GBC was always my favorite. So 6, 12, 25. So you
love this like high rep lactate short rest.
I love it. I think just because I love my low reps as well, right? I'm a power lifter at heart, so I love my low reps. It's just as I get older and as I sleep less, the lower reps, I just tend to err away from them because I know that I can get hurt or injured, and I don't want to push it. I know I'm not a spring chicken anymore, but I do love my low reps. And before the pandemic, I was planning to go for the regionals and nationals for the Canadian powerlifting team, and I did do some numbers, and I did kind of fall into that bracket of the regionals, but I really wanted to take it up as something that I wanted to do. But then after the pandemic, I was just like, business is doing well, let's put more emphasis there. And then you see like you're 35, 36, and then you see these 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds who are squatting 200 kilos more than you and in your same weight category, and you're like, what, it's okay, I'll make the money.
Your priorities change. I mean,
you're right.
In your 40s, you start seeing it.
You gotta be smart about it, right? So you're more of a low rep guy, right? So 5-3-1, 5x5.
I mean, there's a ton of systems that are out there that are used, but everything for me, if I want to make changes and rapid changes to my physique, whether it be strength, lean tissue, or actually lean out, it is always the low rep stuff for me. And that's the individualization. And I've seen a couple of guys over the years. I haven't trained any women in that category yet. Of all the women that I've trained in different sports, but with men, I think I was probably 3 or 4 that are actually like that out of quite a selection. And they tend to be the people that come in and the guy can bench 100 kilos and he doesn't really train much, or you start he's trained a lot of ways and still doesn't look like he trains, and then you suddenly put him on a low rep program and the changes are phenomenal. And the recovery's better. It really suits them. And then they have that thing of what we call a rate of change, how fast they adapt to a given exercise. And again, we'll talk about that probably another time.
Probably another time. But that's nice too. That's good to hear. So we're like coming from two different places right now.
Yeah, very different.
Yeah. David, what kind of athletes have you coached over the years?
Oh my goodness. So everything from I think powerlifting, strongman sports, 400 meters, 200 meters, and then back in the day 60 meters because it went 100s, they were too young. Shot put, nobody famous. MMA, boxing,
good,
quite a few boxers. Brazilian jiu-jitsu, quite a few. It's a sport I love. Competed once, got my ass handed to me, but it was good fun. What else is there? Olympic weightlifting, but not really the technical side of things, but more and then the program design. And then obviously your everyday, I need to get in shape for an event type
of course.
Stuff. And yourself? What have you trained?
Pretty much all the strength sports. Bodybuilders, powerlifters, crossfitters, ollie lifters, strongman. I think I got into more the manual therapy side of things when I got into fascial stretch.
Yeah, you did the fast right now.
So once I started doing that, like FST fascial stretch therapy. For anyone who doesn't know, it was like a huge game changer. So before that, it was just like pretty much all strength, and then after that, you take a different approach, and you're like, okay, fine, you can do, you got to take care of both. I think that's when like it opened up into like more higher level. I think the highest level was like he was retired, but it was a challenge in sorts. I hope I can say his name. Well, his name was Johan Koos. I don't know whether you know who it is. So. This is a really cool story, and I'm going to say it because I can.
It's the motherfucking Eagle Double G. Snoop Dogg.
So I was, I think that was the time when I was fitness manager at in Toronto, and this guy walks in, really hunched over, like big, gigantic dude, like 6'3", 6'2", 6'3", like big, heavy stature. Not fat, but big. Walked, hunched over, did the whole assessment on him, like the whole like squat, push, pull, like plank, like the normal, usual stuff, posture, all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, and then I started writing up his prescription. So it's like, okay, what do I think that he needs if he wants to get into shape, if he wants to train? And I'm writing, I'm like, you know what, buddy, you're in like a pretty banged up state. Like there's a lot of things not like you're the muscles in all the interior like muscles are all super tight, and your posture is like horrible. He's like, yeah, 3 Olympic gold medals will do that to you. And I'm like, well, what? It's like, what did you just say? Like, hang on a minute. It's like 3 Olympic. I was like, okay. I was like, So I do this whole prescription, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff, and then I go back and I call my like regional, and I'm like, hey man, like this guy's here, like Johan Koos. She's like, you don't know who he is? And I'm like, nope. He's like the Kobe Bryant of Norway. And I was like, and he is the owner of the company's best friend. And I was like, oh shit. But I guess he was probably the highest level that I dealt with, albeit retired. But it was a really good adventure, training and doing the FST and like working on his on his body and trying to get him where he is. So Olympic. Ex-Olympians, powerlifters, crossfitters, Olympic lifters, strongmen, bodybuilding, a lot of bodybuilding, a lot of tennis for Canada.
Yeah,
I did.
I've coached a couple of tennis players.
I did work on some young wonders, and so that's my like coaching over the years. Right now, I've not really done much. I just work on my wife's programming every now and then, and I work on my own. But when I got to Dubai, actually, I was working with a couple of kids, and they did super phenomenally well, and they were picked up by the UAE national teams after I got done with them. So that was a cool experience, and now they're on the UAE national team. So that's, I guess let's move on to more entertaining stuff.
Let's do that.
That was like the boring, like
that's the introduction
and stuff like that. I was like, I don't know if you guys are still awake or like fast asleep.
Moved on to something else.
Why are we doing this? That is the biggest question. Brains and gains. Why are we bloody doing this? Why are you doing this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we kind of get to that point where you see so much dumb stuff right? And you're just like, you know what? Whether or not you walk into my clinic and you're being treated in a certain way and it's really dumb, or whether or not you go to the gym and you're just watching stuff and you're going, I have no idea what that is. And you know, again, CrossFit, I see that a lot. I see it in everyday gyms. I see people, PTs doing stuff that are, it's just not just bad, it's just horrendous.
Yeah.
Let alone, you know, and somebody sends you the Instagram meme of somebody doing something. So I think it's nice
pretty
to...
much every day between us two.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's, I think it'd be good to get rid of some of those myths.
Yeah.
I think it'd be good to expose some truths. I think it'd be a fun way to connect to people.
So yeah, I guess like, you said it in a very politically correct way, but for me, it's more
you can
about
see how this
like,
is gonna go, right?
It's for me, it's more like every time I come over to David's and Shefali's, it's more we end up ranting and talking about all the dumb stuff that we've seen over the years and like what basics are always basics and common sense is no longer so common. But we decided to, like, you know, we rant all the time. We share Instagram videos of people doing stupid stuff, and you know what, I have the practical anecdotal like knowledge of doing it for a year and year. Of course you have too, but fortunately I have the gift of the gab and he has the brain, so we're like, you know what, we both come from a similar kind of background, and why not have some fun. We're like, how many Poliquin people are there in Dubai? It's very few, right?
Yeah, so there's people that have done stuff, but the sort of
there's
a hardcore group.
Yeah, there's a hardcore group,
yeah.
right? And I was always the fun one out of the bunch, like the only Indian in Charles's classes, and always making fun and jokes and stuff like that. And you're probably the serious type.
Yeah, I was always the one
like,
I was the one at front.
He was like always taking the notes. So I mean, and he is one of the most knowledgeable people you'll ever find. So I was like, you know what, fuck it, we should do this. We should put a camera on and let's do this. And then of course you have this beautiful setup. So let's take advantage of it, and of course with our little signboard that we ruined already. Like, this is the first time and we've already ruined it. Like, if you're wondering what the hell happened, yeah, he was trying to choke slam me, and then I pinned him up against the wall.
Yeah.
And then,
Shame we didn't get that on camera, really.
Yeah, but
what's the stuff like you've got on this thing? The stuff that we wish we saw more of. What do you mean by that?
I guess. It's the dumb stuff, right? That we see. I'm just like the other day when I sent you that video of like NFL athlete, like there's got like canvas ropes, right, on like the rungs of a squat rack. There's a freaking Swiss ball that his feet are on, and there's weights on his back. I think that's what it was, and he was doing push-ups on that little wobbly thing. And I'm like, if you want to get better at a sport, play the sport.
Yeah. So I mean, yes, and there's like the strength component to it, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that looked like some sort of like, let's do some stability training, and it was taken to the absolute extreme, which I don't understand.
Like it's just, you know, we see stuff like that, right? And to the normal average person, that looks cool.
That looks cool, and it's because it's played as a pro sports. There's copy this.
That's
right?
Cool, and there's a doctor before that person's name.
Yeah.
So it looks cool, right?
Yeah.
And for us, it's like, what the f*** are you doing? Like, this is gonna be edited out anyway. So it's just like, I see that and I'm like, holy moly. Yeah. The other day, I'm on Instagram and I hear someone talking about strength curves and I don't want to get into it, but it's like on, you know, extensions and tricep extensions and stuff like that, and I'm like, it's great that, you know, all this knowledge exists and it's out there, but is it really relevant? Like, what are you talking about?
So far away from, like, you know, I think one of the things, again, let's go back to Charles here, but one of the things he was like, look, you got to get big and strong, otherwise forget it, and nothing else matters. Like, you want to play sport, you overcome inertia, you want to, you know, there are ground reaction forces, there are things that, you know, make complete and utter sense, and then you got the stuff that clearly looks cool but doesn't make any sense at all. And I think we've gone so far into this. Cool.
So that's it, right? Like, in the name of stability training. I mean, you know, when the f*** in your NFL career are you going to be standing on a wobbly surface?
Never.
With your hands on something wobbly that's going to be jiggling like that, right? And with a weight on your back.
Sounds like fun on a yacht to me. I mean,
you know, so it's that kind of common sense stuff, right? Like, which looks super cool, and then it's like just challenging the body in different ways. Does it make the body stronger? Does it help the stabilizers get stronger? Probably, yeah, but is it necessary? Are there better movements to do that?
more,
to just
simplify it a little bit.
like how about putting a 300 kilo bar on your and then try squatting that, your stabilizers are going to fire.
But you wonder if it's, you have to do something different to kind of get into the industry and get a name done and stuff like that. So you tend to see that a lot, no?
I mean, so this is a while ago, right? I'm in the gym, and there's 2 athletes, right, coached by the same coach. We know who that coach is. And this one athlete is 6'1", and the other athlete's 5'2". They're both box squatting to the same box.
Okay.
What the f is going on there?
I don't know.
And so this box is obviously measured for the height of the 6'1" person, right? Because otherwise it's just going to be stupid.
We're assuming.
And so this little 5'2", 5'3" person is just like...
It's got a tenth of a squat going.
And that's the kind of dumb shit. That's the kind of dumb shit. And it's... I've seen some of the Louis Simmons stuff going on as well over here, and just, I was like, fuck, I have the textbooks, like you can borrow it if you want, but just, just because you watched a couple of West Side Barbell videos, don't think you're like, the system. And just because you wear Chuck, like Converse and like shorts, think you're like, a power lifter, or you're like cool with or you buy their t-shirt, you're cool with their methods. And anyways, it's just that kind of stuff, right? Everyone's trying to reinvent the wheel, right? Because they want to get noticed, and everyone's trying to prove that they're the smartest in the industry, and you should train with me and stuff like that. But we're here to set the record straight. Like we don't coach many people, but people do come up to us and ask for training all the freaking time. Especially for me, like there's a lot of people, especially from the team, is just like, what, why don't you coach this person? Why don't you get back into coaching, because you know so much shit and you should be training people. Same thing, I'm pretty sure with you. You're busy with your practice right now and writing a program, and being a personal trainer or a coach is just...
It's also, we get that thing where people say, can you just write me a program? And it's not, can I just? I think that needs to be described. But also, unless you're being coached by somebody, unless you're very experienced and very anally retentive, unless you're being coached by that person, the program doesn't always bring the fruition that you want, right? Just by writing something, it's implementing it is very difficult.
It's very, very difficult. And even with the online programs, I believe there is a good space for online programs, but
I agree.
With that, there needs to be some sort of a check-in, methodology of like every week, or like, assessing the squat, or video recording every big lift of yours, or like the major lifts or the last sets and stuff like that. So there is a place for it, but just like normal online programming, or just write a program for me and I'm going to go and do it in the gym. Don't get me wrong, like I have seen the programs get results. Right, anyone who sticks to a program gets results.
Consistency beats most things.
Most
consistency,
things.
even if it's relatively simple, basic consistency, will win over the most thought out plan if not implemented correctly.
100%. Yeah. And so we're just here to tell you, like, you're consistent, you're doing the right shit, but like you could be doing the right shit, get even better results, or even do better. We're not trying to anyone. Maybe we will every now and then. It's just our goal, I've written that here, is like to have some fun, ruffle some feathers, talk about no BS coaching, shoot some and spread knowledge and gains. So it's just to have some fun. We're not here to criticize anyone if we've hurt your feelings, or we're not here to do that. It's just more about like talk about no BS approach to training, and if you do something funny, we're gonna be there to mock you. It's like, I think we should call this like the strength patrol.
Strength patrol.
Why didn't we think of that before? We thought of like brains and gains.
Yeah.
It's more like the strength patrol, right? So it's like, people doing funny stuff.
Even at the PT level, is your program designed, getting things down on paper, writing it down, seeing your client make progress and seeing them write the programs down instead of being on their phone or with nothing in their hand, doing the same stuff, going from one client to another. So what sort of stuff do I wish I see? I think it's, I like to see more sort of consistent program design. Like I am the guy that sits down and reads and writes it down and all that kind of stuff.
But analyzes, breaks it down, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I like to see more efficient ways of doing things. I think if you can do something in 12 weeks versus a year, let's do it. If you can do something in 4 weeks rather than 12 weeks, let's do it, right? That's my approach to things. Not that everybody has to take that approach at all. And again, I think consistency wins even over that approach, for sure. But I do wish I'd see coaches or personal trainers, for example, writing the programs down, having, you're going to have this client for a couple of months, like make some sort of progression so that you know in your head where you're going with these people, but it's on paper.
Basics, man.
Basics.
This is basic stuff.
Somebody's paying you money to do a service and you just don't see it, man. And then on the phones or on Instagram, holding the waist while doing leg curls. I mean, and that's just the guys, you know what I mean? So it's just.
Back in Toronto when I was running the gyms, if you were on your phone while you were with your client, you would get written up immediately.
Yeah.
You'd get a pip. Like if you're not paying attention, if you're on your phone, if you're not writing things down, you would literally get, if you're not recording stuff, you get a warning. And 3 warnings and you're out.
Yeah, even with clients, like I had to have people come in, people that are trained, and they would be like, I'm going to take my phone. I'd be, no. So unless you have an emergency that's going to happen, and this is what constitutes an emergency, in terms of hospitalization or medical emergency, right? I'm not interested in having your phone near me. I'm not interested in, have your secretary pick it up, because a lot of these people are quite wealthy. And there was no phones. I didn't have mine, and you won't have yours, and we're here to do a job and let's get it done. And I can't stand it. It's a pet peeve, man.
For us, like, of course, we didn't take it to that level of extreme, freaking caveman level. But it's like, for us, it was, if you were with your phone, then I think in this day and age of like recording workouts, then you're actually either recording your workout
but train.
Or
come on, train.
I'm talking about trainers.
For Instagram.
I'm talking about trainers, right? Or you're like taking videos of your client working out, assessing things, keeping a track of things. So that was the only 2 instances where you could have your phone on, and most of the trainers, anyways, had their iPads. So iPad's always way better for like, what was that coaching app called and tracking stuff. So that was literally the only 2, but if we ever saw you texting or we saw you like speaking on the phone or on Instagram and stuff like that, I just watch your thumbs, how they move. Is it like one tap or is it like...
You can imagine a pair of binoculars looking at the thumbs.
Yeah, no, that's what we had to do. But that's really good training, right? This person, like, say for example, right, say you're charging like $60 an hour or $100 an hour or $120 an hour, right?
Yeah.
At the end, we were charging $120, and it's like this person's paying $2 a fucking minute for your time.
Do the math, right? Break it down and work it out, right?
Right, and they deserve your undivided attention.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people have gone like totally wrong, where it's ridiculous. It's like, they're on their phone, they're texting between sets. Dude, talk to your client. Like I know some very, very good coaches, and they call it the bubble coaching. Like when you're coaching a client, there's a bubble around you, no matter what happens. No, you're not looking left or you're not looking right. As you said, write the weights down. Like you're not genius. You have like 10, 15 clients, like, oh yeah, the numbers are in my head. Yeah, the numbers are. Well,
there's no.
What does that even mean?
No
like the numbers are in your head, right? And then those coaches which like find a new program every single day. Like, oh, I saw this person doing this workout, or I tried this workout. You should try this too. And every day it's a different workout. And clients are like, oh my God, my trainer's like, he's so amazing. He's training. I got a different training program every day.
Time, man.
And I'm like, no, but to us, that's garbage training, right? That's garbage training, unless, I don't know, like you're in some sort of like circus act, or you're in some sort of like CrossFit, or I don't know. But that's just garbage, right? It's like you have to have some sort of.
Equate CrossFit to circus training?
No, I didn't. I didn't equate circus to CrossFit training. I said it's constantly varied in CrossFit.
Yeah.
I was saying it's constantly varied.
That's
what I was trying to say.
Okay.
I'm not trying to no, I have major respect for CrossFitters. I love CrossFitters, and I love CrossFit myself. But it's like it's constantly varied, right? So it's like that's where you provide different stimulus. However, so that's one of those pet peeves, right? You see that, it's like, oh my God. And of course, like the usual, like, oh my God, my trainer's like he got me going on the treadmill for 45 minutes before my training session. So that kind of stuff, right? To a lot of people or a lot of clients, that's normal and that's okay, right? But to us, that's not okay.
It's not okay.
That's not okay, right? That's really not okay. And if you're paying, $2 an hour, and that's $2 a minute, and you're on the treadmill for 15 of those minutes, like seriously, dude, give that money to me. They'll do better with that money. But anyways, result-based training, right?
For sure.
It has to be results-based, and it's not so much about how much you know, but it's about what you can deliver. I think that's where my mindset's always at. It's, you can know as much as you want to know. You can learn everything. You can regurgitate anatomy textbook or a biomechanics textbook, but if you can't deliver results, what's the use, right? And if you can't put A and B together, then what's the use, right?
People are paying for a specific result, a specific goal that they want to have in mind.
And we see that all the time, right? It's like people are with their trainer for the last 2 years, 3 years, and dude, they haven't made an inch of it's just, he's a great person. Yeah, I get it. You know what? We can find a friend, but that's something, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't get it. I don't get it. You're paying top dollar for this guy or top dirham for this person. At least get some results. At least try. At least try. So I guess that's where we're coming from, and in the one from the world of so you're gonna hear a lot of this stuff throughout the next few episodes. NANI? But it's basically no BS, right? And if anything, we hope to up your game. If you're a client, if you're a personal trainer, we want to up your game. We want to make sure that that it's not okay to do the things that are not okay. I don't know how to put that, but I don't want to I didn't want to say we were watching, but it's just for coaches, it's there's a certain level of professionalism that needs to be carried out, and we're here to help you on that journey per se, in our own way. Oh, you want to add something? Or did I just and talk? And fortunately, for me, it's a very no BS attitude, right? A lot of people like me, a lot of people don't like me, and that's fine by me. But and I come from a lot of experience and all this kind of seeing all this for over a decade, and coach people through it. And then, of course, you have the science beside me over here, who's super knowledgeable, and anything you need to know or we need to know about science and why things, when I say you're pushing up with a freaking canvas band in your hand and a Swiss ball behind, you have the science behind it and you can understand it. And that's what David prides himself on, and he's one of the smartest guys here. So, of course, avoiding injury, building muscle is his daily bread and butter. So, I guess that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
that's what we're doing. I added a little bit of shameless advertising at the end.
Right.
Yeah, we have to. Right. This is our thing, shameless advertising. So, guys, this episode and this podcast is going to be sponsored by Generation Strong. If you want to support us, we want to become the Middle East #1 fitness apparel and lifting gear company. We're really close, and we're kind of creating some sort of pseudo monopoly right now. But we want your help. We want your support. Please get onto www.generationstrong.com, and I'm sure you will find something you will like and you can use. Now we've tried to add a lot more design and funk and color into the usual boring, bland stuff that's in the market. So I'm sure you're gonna love it. But yeah, definitely log on and support us. And you want to add some shameless advertising for yourself?
No.
Well, I guess you know what we have to end with. If you like what you see and you want to know more, and I don't even know which side that subscribe button is going to be, but whichever side it is, just smash it, and watch your biceps grow every time you smash it. Well, that's it. So that's Ray and David.
David and Ray.
David and Ray, Brains
Ray and
and Gains. We're out.
We're out.
And remember, no brains, no gains. No brains, no gains. Peace.